Hello, Rob Venn here, and in today's video we're going to be looking at magazine design, specifically the design of regional listings magazines. Now, you should be familiar with a lot of this from your AS year, from your project there, but we're going to specifically look at regional listings magazines rather than particularly, obviously, music magazines from the AS year. So we're going to be looking at the conventions of regional magazine design. Obviously, we're going to be doing textual analysis of these magazines in class. This is going to be checking your self-reflection skills, note-taking, textual analysis, and your IT skills. Why are we doing this? Well, we're aiming to fulfill assessment objectives AO1, AO2, and AO4. So you should be demonstrating knowledge and understanding of media concepts, context, and critical debates, using terminology appropriately and with accurate and coherent written expression. Applying knowledge and understanding to show how meanings are created with analysing media products and evaluating your own practical work, and demonstrating the ability to undertake and apply appropriate research. Okay, so here we've got the various elements of a regional listings magazine cover. Essentially, they're much the same as any other magazine cover, and you should be familiar with most of these terms from your AS. But obviously, one of the key elements up here we've got is your masthead. Notice the spelling of masthead. In here, you've got to be thinking not just what is the masthead, but you want to be considering what font is it using, why is it using that font, what does the word mean, what are its connotations. Exposed is written here in a large serif but very block bold display font. This is going to make it easy to read from a distance. Why exposed? Probably because you're exposing what's going on, you're revealing what's happening. So that's going to take up about, as you can see, about a fifth of the page, and it runs right the way along the top in this case. Underneath it we've got a cell line, Sheffield's Ultimate Entertainment Guide. The job of the cell line is to sell the magazine. It's there to make you want to pick it up, to tell you what it's about, to make you interested. You will also have a date line, which you can see is up here. This, in a normal magazine, has a tendency to go in the barcode, but because regional magazines are usually free, as is the case of this one, there's not going to be a barcode. So here we've got free written on the date, which is February 2015. They put this vertical, same height as the masthead. We've also got your main cover art, the main image. Any kind of photograph or image in a magazine is generally referred to as art. As you can see, this being a local magazine that's aimed as what's called a listings magazine that tells you what's going on in your town or region. It focuses quite a lot on music. It focuses quite a lot on fashion, going out, art, galleries, theatre, cinema, all that kind of stuff. So we've got a pretty hipsterish looking couple on the front here. Slow motion is your main cover line. I'm assuming that's the name of the band. As you can see, this text, big, bold, sans serif display font, easy to read from a distance. Underlined. Personally, I tend to think that underlining looks pretty messy, but it's very much a convention at the moment. It's very, in fashion at the moment to be underlining stuff. Not happen to like it myself, but that's a matter of opinion. Again, this kind of like highlighter effect where they've highlighted the subheading here in a kind of like a banner essentially, or slash they're sometimes called. They tend to be slashes if you put them at an angle, whether they're banners if they're kind of straight. Again, same font as the main masthead, the main selling line. Tells you what the main article's about. Now, being a free magazine, it's not going to be sat on a shelf competing for your attention in the same way as a normal magazine is. This is the kind of stuff you're going to find in, your local hairdressers, in cafes, in boutique kind of shops like you find on Division Street or West Street, and quite often in bars, your local cinemas, places like a showroom. So they don't have to make as big a deal of the cell lines and the cover lines as a normal magazine would. But down here we've got some cover lines telling you what's inside. Again, using the same font, so we've got consistency across there. You don't want to be using more than 3 fonts, maximum 4 maybe, on the front cover of your magazine, otherwise it's going to look really cluttered. Again, notice the way it alternates colours. It still follows the blue-white theme that's running through the rest of it. These kind of like backslashes, or forward slashes I should say, again, quite common at the moment. It's very kind of much in fashion. Down here we've got a flash or a puff. In this case, it's got the magazine's social media accounts on it, Twitter and Facebook, and it says that they are proudly supporting the Children's Hospital charity. As you can see, much more stripped down, much less cluttered than you'd expect to see on the music magazines you were looking at last year, especially if you think of something like Krang or We Heart Pop. But either way, much more stylish, much more arty. That's kind of what you need to be going for when you're designing your magazines. If then we look at some examples here, Toast, sadly gone now, no longer exists. Again, possibly a little bit more cluttered than the Exposed we've just been looking at. Why Toast? Possibly it's the toast of the town. This one used to be A5 size, it was quite small, so notice it's got this little tagline up here that says it's a good size. You know, referring to the magazine itself. It's also a joke, possibly a reference to Kevin Smith's Mallrats. But again, mainly focusing on music and bands as your cover artists. I quite like these arrows here. It's a nice little effect to say what's inside the magazine. Good photography is the key to getting a good result on this one. In particular, definitely much more so than you did in your AS ones. Look at these, for example. These are examples of Chic magazine, which is a South Yorkshire fashion mag. Look at how stripped down and minimalist these are. Yes, it's got the cover lines on it, but they're very small. What makes these work? Excellent photography. Quality of the photography is going to make a massive difference. Notice how the picture doesn't even fill the whole page with these empty white spaces. Minimalism like this can look very good, but you have to have outstanding photography for this to work. Otherwise, it's just going to look unfinished. Again, more examples of Exposed. It's very simple in terms of its cover lines and cell lines again. This unusual photograph for a front cover, but it's got lots of energy, it's got lots of movement. I like the way it's used this script font. That's really quite unusual, but it looks very contemporary, very modern. Again, great picture here, Jarvis Cocker. What makes this work? The shallow depth of field. Look at the way in which he pops from the background. And there's nothing like shallow depth of field to make your photographs look more professional. Remember, don't be afraid to put the masthead over the forehead of your front cover model. In a lot of magazines, the model will cover the name of the magazine. This can only really be done if your brand is already well established. You wouldn't do it with a new magazine, and you're supposed to be new, so don't do it either. Again, mode, very much aggressively going with this hipster style here. Very simple cover lines again. Sponsored here by Piper Heidsieck, which is a brand of champagne, so we're going for a much more upmarket audience here. Notice how it says priceless, not free. Bit pretentious, but there you go. This is much more like a middle class kind of Sunday supplement effect here. But again, simple, elegant. Doesn't necessarily have to have a personal front cover, although I recommend you do. This is going for a Christmassy kind of affair, so you've got your mulled wine as your main picture there. Again, some nice ones here. This is a much more fashion orientated one again, Liberty Bell. Again, really, really good photography has made the difference here. Notice how they've coloured the text in the pink and the purple to match the photograph, to contrast with it. Again, very simple but very stylish. This one, as you can see, is an e-magazine. It's an electronic online one. But if you done as a PDF, you can still flip through like a typical magazine. Notice how they've got very narrow leading here, so the text is almost overlapping. And they've actually used a bigger font on this line than they have on that line, so that it looks square. Very nice design. This one, different. It's not a listings magazine, it's about the great outdoors. Again, really great photography. Notice how they've made contrasting use of white and blue. Really good use of white and blue there. I also like the way they've done this. It's very neat, very tidy. Quite stylish. Various other magazines. This one's an American one. I think it's from San Francisco, I think. I'm not 100% sure. This one's just a Midlands one. But again, outstanding photography makes a difference from this one. They've matched the colour of the banners and the text here to match the lipstick. Really nice design. I like the way they've got the text wrapping around this flash here. Really nice designs. Again, lines separating things, underlining, that kind of effect, very popular at the moment. Again, really nice use of colour, I think, which makes this one. It's the way that these banners here are used to highlight the text, and I like the way they kind of dissolve into the background. It's pretty stylish. This is Now Then, which is a magazine that basically shatters the rules of a magazine design. This one here is just an outstanding, beautiful photograph. Hardly any text. Notice how Now Then is at the bottom. This is exceptionally unusual. You wouldn't do this in a magazine you had to pay for, because of the way that magazines are stacked on shelves. They always go up the top. This one puts it down at the bottom because it's free. You're just going to pick it up in your local pub. But beautiful photography. Very, very much an art-based magazine, this one. Look at the way it uses the graffiti. Typical, you'll see this stuff all around Sheffield. Beautifully designed. Again, I love this one, the Henderson's Relish one, done by Pete McKee, who's a famous local artist. You see his art all over the city. The Henderson's Relish, very Sheffield. Again, look at this one. Very, very minimalist. Just using the negatives of the photography. Very unusual, but very, very striking. Hard to imagine that on a shelf in W.H. Smith's, but perfect on a windowsill of the showroom. Then we've got our table of contents, or TOC for short. This is a posh word for your contents page. This one's from Expose, and it's a pretty standard looking contents page. Mixture of text and pictures. Quite cluttered looking as these things go. Some of them can be very, very minimalist. You've got your art, obviously. You've got these lines. Lines in magazines called rules, so they don't get mistaken for lines of text. But you've got rules, you've got your TOC, which is the table of contents, your impressum, which is this thing here. This is a list of all the people who work in the magazine and things like contact addresses and stuff like that, which they put in a banner down here, along with the social media accounts. They're sometimes called mastheads, which is kind of confusing because we use that name for the name of the magazine as well. Dateline over here, picture of the front cover to remind us what the front cover looks like for some reason. Notice how you've got the juxtaposition of your page numbers with the article. Same fonts used throughout. Constant use of colours. Don't be entirely afraid of empty space if you use it properly. Like we've got features down there, cover story at the top. That's your basic. Obviously you've got the magazine up here with contents written on it, so you know what you're looking at. Banners, the slashes like that on the front cover as well. Again, very popular at the moment. Again, really like the way they've done this one. Beautiful photograph here, which helps. Really great use of colour, which they've kind of carried on. Notice how the colour of her hair is kind of matched by this rule here. They made it actually look like a banner, like a ribbon banner. Like the way they put, again, they've replicated this here. The text goes right to the edge of it, which is quite unusual, but looks really nice. Again, not too many fonts. Looks different to that one. Same magazine, but very different look. But, still has a very similar look. You look at it and you know that they're from the same kind of magazine. Then we've got a very much more minimalist one here. Can't remember which magazine this is from, to be fair. Oh, it's from Chic. Much more minimalist. Looks much more like something you'd expect to see in, for example, Cosmopolitan. Here we've got an editor's letter, editorial. Use drop capitals, very good here. Photograph of the editor. Signature to give you that little personal touch. Again, this down here is your impressum. I like the way they put contents in this box up here. Nice contrasting colours. Little arrows here to suggest that's what's inside. It leads your eye in this direction, so it leads you like that. Again, good use of photography makes a difference. If you're going to go minimalism, you need good photos. Again, this one's from Now Then. Very, very different. Very visually striking with these bold blocks. Very simple talk. Very little use of images. Except this background picture, obviously. It requires very, very careful design if you're going to pull something like this off. Again, but it's got the basic ingredients. It's got your impressum. It's got what's in this magazine. It's got your editorial. Personalizes it. You know, this is like a, you know, about what the magazine's about, basically. It's got its brand partners down here. Love this one. This is from Liberty Bell. This is gorgeous design. No photography. Remember, you don't have to have photography. You can have, as long as the artwork's original, you could draw it if you're, you know, capable of it. This font's kind of hip at the moment. A lot of people using this. These script fonts are also very popular. You know, really nice use of font. Clean, stylish, modern in a retro kind of way. You know, this is what I'm kind of looking for. I'm looking for imagination and creativity. Actual contents list is very simple, but look how beautifully it is designed. Now, this is thinking outside the box. These aren't from local regional listings magazines. This one on the left here is from Wired magazine, which is a technology magazine. On the right from Esquire, which is a famous men's lifestyle magazine. But look at how creative this is. Look at how they've done this in this kind of like colour chart. It just looks absolutely stunning. Wired, if you've never seen it, is beautiful in terms of its design. It's absolutely stunning. It's well worth going and have a look at because it's just beautiful. I love the way this Esquire, as well as use slices of the different artwork from the different articles to create this sort of like compound picture. Beautiful design. And if you're really thinking outside the box, this isn't from a magazine at all. This is just something I stumbled across online where people were printing their CVs on t-shirts as a way of attracting jobs. But thought, how cool would that be as a contents page? Just a thought. Just not suggesting you copy this. I'm just suggesting you think outside the box. Try and be imaginative, because one of the things about these magazines is they're arty, they're stylish, they're cool, they're, you know, they're hipsterish. They're trying to look interesting. So think outside the box. Try and be a bit imaginative. You can break the rules as long as you can prove to the examiner that you're doing it in a very thoughtful way and you're not doing it just out of ignorance. So that's a very quick, brief rundown of the kind of things you expect to see in a magazine. What I'm expecting you to do over the next couple of weeks is to be scanning magazine pages and annotating them in detail. So I not only want you to identify the different parts of the magazine like I have there, but you need to be talking about why it looks like that. What is denoted, literally what we can see, but also what is connoted. Why does it look like that? So I need much more detail than you've seen written on the screen there. You'll be able to see examples of annotated magazines on Moodle. There will also be other videos looking at music magazines from last year you can look at. If you've got any questions or you want any help with anything, feel free to contact me or whoever you got as your teacher. Let me know if you need any help. Talk to you next time.